The Starship is a mystery invented by Elon Musk to fulfill his dreams of transporting humans through space from one continent to another and actualize his pressing desire to land on Mars, build his city there and colonize the planet. But there could be pretty much more to that. How could the Starship work? From firing up into space with 33 Raptor engines, which it's fully stacked with the booster and the upper stage, to disconnecting itself into two separate parts where one upper stage will continue with the main journey to other space bodies and the accelerator, or you can call it the booster, will fire itself back to Earth and lap itself on the chopstick's arms without missing its location. A crucial question may come to your mind. How will the Starship's stages perform when everything is all set and firing up to space and returning feels like taking a taxi on the road? What expectations should we be set to derive from the stages of the Starship separation? Let's find out. Today, we'll walk you through what the Starship comprises, how Elon Musk and SpaceX planned and designed the Starship to function for space travel and missions to the Moon, Mars and beyond. This video will look like a picture of Elon's dreams of the Starship and what is expected, so kindly stick to the video to the end to find out what you wouldn't imagine in your entire life about technology and all the same space travel. Just amazing, mind-blowing and revolutionary as it may sound, SpaceX has tried to make things perfect with the separation mechanism. But before we delve into how the separation mechanism works, we must first understand the Starship's overall architecture and reasoning. The gigantic Starship has two stages, the lower and the upper stages. The lower stage, often known as the rocket or the Super Heavy, accelerates the Starship to overcome the Earth's gravitational pull. It generates the necessary power for liftoff via more than 30 Raptor engines at sea level. SpaceX has developed the rocket so that it can be reused. Therefore, after completing its launch and separating from the upper stage, it will return to Earth and land to prepare for subsequent mission launch. It accomplishes this with the aid of its 4 grid fins, which have sensors that will see the location of the Mechazilla tower. The upper stage, sometimes referred to as the spacefaring section, is the ship. This is yet another magnificent building. Despite being 20 meters shorter than the rocket, the upper stage is heavier at the moment of separation. 6 Raptor engines, a hybrid of vacuum and sea-level engines, are used by the upper stage for propulsion and landing. It is intended to travel across space before eventually landing on any planet. It's totally reusable, just like the lower stage. The idea of a permanent human presence on Mars remains in Musk's vision. He intends to use the Starship to establish a human colony on Martian soil. The company will have to transport vast supplies for the life support systems before humans can settle. This will undoubtedly need numerous journeys. In addition, NASA plans to use the Starship to launch its astronauts on the Moon's surface. They are working on a project called Artemis. Although the agency will send astronauts to Mars before sending out average people, the agency also intends to get there in the future using the Starship. The ship must separate from the massive booster for any of these extraterrestrial missions to succeed. Every rocket that launches cargo into space eventually releases the lower stage due to the laws of physics. To further explain, the spacecraft will only slow down due to the dead weight of the rocket's empty fuel tank. However, given that it is tall and appears solidly and flawlessly joined, one would worry about how the stages will separate when the time comes. How is SpaceX going to do this? The majority of rocket engineers design a riskier and a more complicated separation technique. But for SpaceX, everything is completely different because it forgoes constructing a whole separation system. For all other rockets, the two stages are either held together or separated by some type of a trigger lock or a frangible bolt. When a Russian rocket's stages are separated, a technique known as hot staging is used, which means the top stage must start its engines just before or simultaneously with the connection mechanism being opened, which is joined to the booster. The ignited engines shoot down, blazing the lower stage beneath them. In other rockets, the upper stage is separated from the lower stage by a distance before the upper stage's rockets fire off, or the upper stage uses similar vernier thrusters to travel into space. The mission's launch is at an increased risk because of the complexity of this separation stage. As the number of stages increases, so does the number of separations require. This increases the risk and raises the possibility of something going wrong. However, SpaceX intends to use an even more straightforward separation procedure in the Starship by completely eliminating this same risk. Elon Musk has no problem discussing the technical specifications of his Starship. He said that SpaceX will not be adding anything new to the upper or the lower stages to achieve separation, which was very interesting information regarding their separation procedure. The The Starship will begin the separation procedure by rotating itself using the gimbaling Raptor engines on the Super Heavy. Moments before the main engine is turned off, this procedure will add angular momentum to the Starship. The latches between the Starship and the Super Heavy will be left open, allowing the two stages to drift apart. The ship will be floating away in a straight and a stable line because of the spinning action between the ship and the Super Heavy. The fact that the Starship is now 5 times heavier than the booster will allow for this. Then the liberated ship will start riding once the entire separation process is finished, and the Super Heavy will start practicing its flip maneuver in preparation for making its way back to Earth. The Falcon rockets that SpaceX uses to launch all of its satellites follow the same process. This innovative and distinctive approach eliminates the need to invest time and money in creating a push-string system that is safe enough to launch a 1,300-ton spacecraft from a Super Heavy. The Starship was built by SpaceX with yet another unique style that aids the separation phase. There is a skirt that completely covers each of the 6 Raptor engines. The skirt guards against nozzle damage caused by the impact of the booster during separation. SpaceX's engineers are quite smart for working to eliminate as many design difficulties as they can. They discard anything that is overly intense. People may have got confused about how the heavy components would be released and retracted while still having the strength to push and drag a rocket weighing several hundred tons, for instance, when the Super Heavy's grid fins were displayed and their purpose explained. Instead of the need to develop a complex deployment and retraction technology to regulate the car-sized grid fins that weigh tons, SpaceX chose to allow the fins to be deployed constantly. They initially intended to use the fins as the launching tower's arms to catch the rocket mid-air, but they changed their minds. To try to capture the booster when it lands using the arms from the launch tower, they will now install some arms or pins on the sides of the Super Heavy booster. For Elon Musk to become successful as possible in any of his endeavors, he sticks to a specific principle which has to do with 5 steps. The first step is to break down the project into requirements and simplify the needs. He therefore associates the demands with an individual rather than a department. So he ensures that any engineer working on the Starship project is held accountable for meeting the requirements. Step 2. Get rid of a part or a process, or cut out what is unnecessary. They get rid of a process or a design if it's too complicated and not really needed. Step 3. After finishing Step 2, make it easier and better. Step 4. Make the cycle go faster. If things are moving slowly, move faster, but only after the first 3 steps are done. Step 5. Make the process run by itself. If you've always thought of Musk as a leader, you're not wrong on that one. Another SpaceX worker told Musk about the whole separation plan. The employee thought of the whole plan and got Musk to agree to use it. At SpaceX, it's clear that ideas move up and down, and every idea is deemed valuable. We're getting closer to seeing the whole process of separating work and reality. There were rumors that Elon Musk would be the only person to test the Super Heavy booster, but when Elon Musk said that there won't be any independent booster test flights, everyone, including space fans, got shocked. SpaceX is working hard to get the spacecraft ready, and the first test flight is planned for the end of this year or the beginning of the second half of 2023. What do you guys think about this unique separation system? Do you think that SpaceX will be able to achieve this? SpaceX has also revealed how they have completed the OLT-2, its first booster at 39A. Just click on the video to know more about this.